Welcome back to the deep dive. You know, if you're a professional, maybe a leader, or really just anyone trying to keep your head above water with all the information flying at you, you know the feeling.
Oh, yeah.
This constant pressure to move fast, act now, use the data immediately. But there's that little nagging worry, isn't there? That maybe speed is costing you something important, like, wisdom.
Exactly. We live in this age where chaos feels like the default setting.
Right. And it seems like the only thing that gets rewarded is velocity. Just go, go, go.
Mm-hmm.
So that really brings us to the big question for today's deep dive. How do you actually make wise, principled decisions when things feel completely unclear and, the market's screaming for an answer now?
It's the central tension, isn't it?
It really is. Okay, so let's unpack this. The source material we're digging into today is Wisdom in the Storm Mastering Decisions When Uncertainty Strikes by Chris R. Velazquez.
Yeah, and this is, well, it's a really powerful and timely guide, I think. Velazquez lays out this kind of transformative roadmap.
A roadmap.
Okay.
Yeah, specifically for leaders, for professionals. And what's interesting is how he blends these, timeless insights. And yes, some are drawn from biblical principles with very practical, modern strategy.
So not just philosophical.
No, not at all. Our mission today really is to pull out that practical core, how he redefines wisdom. It's not some passive thing you either have or don't.
Right.
He frames it as an active discipline, something you can learn, something you can practice, that can actually turn all that confusion into real confidence.
And the book really hammers this point.
Yeah.
Moving beyond the stuff we usually celebrate,
Mm-hmm.
like speed or just having tons of data or being super smart.
Mm-hmm.
Those things are useful tools, obviously,
Yeah.
but the argument here is they don't necessarily lead to decisions that actually last.
That's the critical piece.
So the real capital we need is what? Discernment, grounded in principle.
That's the key distinction Velazquez makes. And what's fascinating is this core idea. Look, the modern world yells for speed. Leadership often rewards people who look decisive.
Even if they're just reacting fast.
Exactly, even if it's just a quick reaction. But pure speed, or, optimizing everything without any kind of ethical compass, that often just leads to burnout, broken trust, fractured relationships.
We've all seen that happen.
Right. So Velazquez argues that real lasting success, that comes from cultivating something different, a steady, discerning heart, one that brings together clarity about your purpose, emotional maturity, and, importantly, moral courage.
Okay, but let's be real for a second. If I'm staring down a massive Q3 challenge, how do I actually use something that sounds kind of lofty, like discernment? It can feel a bit mysterious, maybe?
It can, but it shouldn't. And the book works hard to demystify it. It's not magic.
Okay.
Discernment is defined really practically as a specific pattern of thinking and acting. It mixes insight, seeing what's really going on, with restraint.
Restraint, interesting. Not just acting.
Right, knowing when not to act or how to act proportionally, and moral clarity. It's the ability to read a situation correctly and then choose the right path, even when the data is messy or incomplete.
So it's more than just analysis.
Much more. Think about the analogy he uses in the book. You're piloting a ship through thick fog.
Okay.
Your radar, that's your data. Your spreadsheets, your market analysis, necessary stuff.
Sure.
Your engine, your crew, that's your skill, your resources, also vital. But if you don't have a clear compass, like a spiritual or ethical compass, and a steady hand on the rudder...
Which is the wisdom and principle part.
Exactly. Then you're just moving fast, maybe towards disaster. In the fog, you need the map and the steady hand even more than you need the speed.
That really highlights this leadership dilemma Velazquez brings up right at the start in the preface. He says the problem for leaders today isn't usually a lack of options or information.
No, we're drowning in both.
Right, we're drowning.
Yeah.
The real problem is not being able to see clearly which of those million opportunities are actually worth chasing.
And which ones are just noise, or worse, distractions that pull you off course. And that's precisely what discernment does. It's the skill that helps you translate raw facts, raw data into faithful, actionable strategy. It's about weighing the short-term risks against those enduring long-term values.
Okay.
And figuring out urgency versus, the right timing. It's finding clarity when everyone else is just scrambling.
That clarity is fantastic in theory. But, okay, where the rubber meets the road is when you have that tough choice under pressure. And this is where, for me, gets really interesting. Velazquez doesn't just leave you with concepts.
No, he gets very practical.
He offers this usable, repeatable framework.
Yeah.
Like 4 guardrails. He calls it a pre-flight checklist you can run any big decision through.
Yeah.
And this 4-fold process, it's really the operational heart of the book. It's this truth, goodness, and timeliness, godliness model.
Right.
And it's explicitly designed to force you, really, to evaluate choices beyond just, is this efficient? Or will this make money?
Okay, let's walk through those, because this feels like the structure that helps turn reflection into, like, actual habit, muscle memory. Definitely. So the first two really anchor your decision in reality and ethics. First, truth.
Truth, okay.
Is the decision aligned with reality? Is it honest? Are you representing things accurately both inside the team and outside?
Seems obvious, but...
It sounds obvious, but how often do we kind of shade things or choose the story we want to be true instead of what actually is true?
Guilty. Okay, so truth first, then.
Then goodness. Will this decision protect human dignity? Will it promote actual flourishing for the people involved? This is where the ethical line gets drawn pretty clearly.
Hold on there. Goodness. If I'm, say, a CEO trying to optimize costs, how do I measure goodness or flourishing practically? Isn't that kind of subjective?
That's a really fair and necessary question, and the book clarifies goodness isn't about some vague universal niceness.
Right.
It's about sustainable impact. Does this decision dehumanize anyone involved? Your employees, your clients, the community? Does it treat them merely as means to an end? If the decision creates long-term ethical problems or undermines trust, which is maybe your biggest asset, then it fails the goodness test, even if the P&L looks good this quarter.
So it's about future durability.
Exactly. It frames goodness as structurally necessary for long-term health, not just a nice-to-have moral luxury.
That makes sense. It gives it teeth.
Okay.
What's the third guardrail?
The third is timeliness. Is this the right move right now? Or should you actually wait? Maybe prepare more, gather more data, build more support?
The wait part, that's hard.
It is. This is that crucial balance point between jumping into action and having foresight. Failing this check is often what traps leaders in reactive firefighting instead of proactive building.
Okay, truth, goodness, timeliness. And the fourth one, godliness. This might be the one that needs careful handling for a broad audience, right?
That's right. The term comes straight from the source material's, foundational context, but Molasses translates it very practically for any leadership setting.
Yeah.
It essentially means asking, does this decision reflect a life and leadership consistent with my deepest non-negotiable convictions? It's about integrity, moral coherence.
So alignment with core values.
Precisely. The idea is that truly sound decisions need to be anchored in something deeper than just the latest trend or quarterly pressure. This guards against selling out your principles for short-term expediency.
Right.
Whether those core convictions are explicitly spiritual or maybe philosophical or ethical, the point is consistency. If a decision violates those deeply held, enduring values you stand for,
It creates friction.
exactly, it introduces this internal friction that will inevitably undermine your leadership authority and trust down the road.
Yeah.
It catches up with you.
So running a decision through these four checks, truth, goodness, timeliness, and that deep moral coherence or godliness, it forces you to slow down that immediate urgent impulse. And that urgent choice might suddenly look less appealing when you measure against these more enduring values. It kind of forces analytical thinking and reflection together.
Which is key, because frameworks are great, they're helpful, but action is indispensable.
Right.
And Velasquez spends a good chunk of time detailing how to actually build this kind of discernment into, as you said, muscle memory.
Okay, good.
He recommends 4 specific, repeatable habits leaders need to practice.
Okay, let's get into those. What's the first habit?
First one is simple but powerful, the pause. Before major decisions, literally take 2 minutes, just 2, to identify the dominant emotions in the room or in yourself and name them. Label them.
2 minutes. That sounds impossible when the building's on fire. Like stalling.
It feels like stalling, doesn't it? But the argument is that this 2-minute pause is actually a form of emotional triage.
Triage, okay.
When you consciously label an emotion, okay, there's fear here, or there's excitement or anger, you actually shift how your brain processes it. You move it from the reactive part.
The amygdala.
Yeah, the lower brain, up to the prefrontal cortex, the thinking part. And just that simple act of identifying it reduces its raw power over your decision. It cuts down on those reactive errors significantly. So it's not stalling, it's actually maximizing clarity before you act.
Interesting. Less reaction, more response. Okay, habit 2.
Habit 2 tackles groupthink, the red team.
Ah, I've heard of this.
Right. Deliberately appoint one person, maybe rotating, whose specific job is to challenge the optimistic assumptions. To play devil's advocate.
And they have to feel safe doing it.
Critically important. Cultivate safe, non-punishable dissent. This prevents the team from just barreling ahead into a hidden blind spot because everyone wants to agree or is afraid to speak
Yeah,
up.
smart. Okay, third habit builds on the framework.
Exactly. The scorecard. You actually operationalize those guardrails we talked about.
Make it real.
Yeah. Build a simple scorecard could just be check boxes using those key questions. Is it true? Is it good? Is the timing right?
And this is where the rubber really hits the road, isn't it? If the plan, the proposal, fails one of those checks on the scorecard.
You halt. You revise. You don't move forward until it passes. That scorecard makes your core values the actual gatekeeper for action. It stops you from compromising when the pressure inevitably mounts.
Makes the values non-negotiable in practice. Love that. Okay, fourth habit.
And finally, maybe the most crucial for long-term growth and wisdom, the reflection hour.
An hour?
Weekly.
Schedule it. Weekly time dedicated solely to reviewing decisions you already made and their outcomes. What worked, what didn't, why?
Learning from the past.
It sounds basic, but Velazquez hammers this. Reflection is what trains your perception, and perception is ultimately what trains wisdom. You have to look back to sharpen your sight going forward.
You know, we see this pattern in some of the historical examples the book touches on, right? Like Esther.
Absolutely. Think about Esther's situation. Immense pressure, life and death stakes, needed to act fast to save her people.
But she didn't just rush in. She didn't. She instinctively used that reflection hour principle, didn't she? She took time, 3 days actually, to fast, pray, gather information, plan her approach.
Assess the timing.
Exactly. She waited for the precise moment of maximum leverage before she made her move. That showed perfect timeliness. Grounded in reflection, not just reckless speed. It's moving from impulsive reaction to disciplined, reflected action.
That focus on disciplined reflection, it really leads into the ultimate goal the book talks about, which is shifting how we even measure success.
Yes.
If we stop rewarding just speed and, quarterly profits, what do we start rewarding? What does success look like then?
The argument is that genuine, lasting success has to go beyond those conventional, often transactional metrics, power, profit, hitting the numbers this month. Those are often fleeting.
So what's the new measure?
The new measure focuses on sustained, enduring impact, on legacy. Instead of only asking, did we hit the target this quarter, the discerning leader starts asking different questions. Like, did this decision actually preserve human dignity? Did it build or erode trust within our team, with our clients? Did it align with our deepest long-term convictions?
Wow.
It grounds success in the health and durability of the organization, its culture, its relationships, not just the immediate bottom line.
That completely reframes the leadership focus, doesn't it? It reminds me of that other example from the source, Solomon. When he had that chance, ask for anything. He didn't ask for wealth or power or military wins, which were the standard success metrics then.
Right. He asked for wisdom, specifically a discerning heart to lead his people justly.
That request really captures the whole philosophy of wisdom in the storm, doesn't it? He prioritized the capacity to lead well, with integrity, over the immediate temporary rewards.
Perfectly put. And that's the call, really. The world desperately needs leaders with that kind of discernment. Leaders who can hold on to conviction even when everything's chaotic, who can balance bold vision with real humility.
That ability to wait, to reflect, and then act with integrity.
The book presents that as maybe the greatest competitive advantage in today's volatile world. Not speed, but wise action.
So, wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, the listener, as you face your next big decision, maybe even later today?
Right.
It means there's a clear path forward, doesn't it?
Yeah.
First, actively cultivate discernment. Treat it like a skill, a daily discipline.
Practice it.
Second, use that fourfold filter: truth, goodness, timeliness, and that deep, coherent conviction. Run your major choices through it.
Make it your checklist.
And third, practice those small, repeatable habits. The pause, the red team, the scorecard, the reflection hour. Build that muscle memory.
It's about embedding wisdom into your process.
Yeah, and the source material really challenges us fundamentally on how we measure our own success, our own achievements. So here's a final provocative thought for you to maybe chew on this week. Are you currently setting up your decisions, your leadership style, to be rewarded mainly by those short-term metrics, hitting the numbers, getting the quick wins? Or are you consciously operating with a deeper framework, one that aims to leave a lasting legacy of wisdom and integrity, the kind that can actually withstand and maybe even shape the storms that are inevitably coming?
That's the question to wrestle with.
Something to think about as you lead your team and yourself this week.